Hi everyone, my name is Alec Santos, and I'm going to be presenting Good Will Hunting from 1997, directed by Gus Van Sant. Now, I didn't know a lot about this film when I chose it, other than that it was very well received, obviously. Now, a lot of my friends are really into movies, and so when I learned about this project, I brought it up at the lunch table, and the name Good Will Hunting was heard multiple times, so I thought I might as well see what the hype is all about. And spoilers, the hype is very well deserved. Now, I think I'll very briefly summarize the movie for you. Will Hunting, played by a young Matt Damon, is a delinquent who works as a janitor at MIT by day and who parades around various bars around Boston, Massachusetts with his fellow delinquents when not on the job. And we soon discover that Will is nothing less than a genius, solving an advanced math problem put on the board by prestigious math teacher Professor Lambeau, this fellow in the foreground. Now, after seeing his genius, the professor kind of takes Will under his wing to the boys' protest and attempts to unlock his potential, if you will, by taking him to see various therapists, eventually seeing progress with his old colleague, John McGuire, is Robin Williams here. And he wants to see Will, succeed in the world, not merely through academics, as Professor Lambeau does, but through living what he thinks is a genuinely enriching life. Now, okay, first, one of the topics I'd like to discuss is the film's cinematography. We'll start off with the film's colors. Now, we learned before that colors can reveal more than just what's shown on the screen. For example, the film uses warm colors and cool colors to kind of put the audience in Will's shoes in various situations. Warm colors, as the name describes, imply kind of comfort, energy, liveliness. The places that Will finds comforting and familiar and soothing are depicted in warm tints. So, for example, here's his house, comforting, cozy, homey. And here he is at Chucky's house, where even when he feels pressured and stressed by Professor Lambeau to kind of perform academically, he never fails to, have a good laugh with his old friends. And then even after getting to know Sean some more, after a few therapy sessions, Will kind of opens up to him and becomes more comfortable around him. And we can see that in the tint of his room is very warm in the multiple times that we see him at Sean's therapy sessions. Now, in contrast, cool colors denote exactly the opposite. So look, here's a jail cell. Obviously, very unfamiliar. Will feels uncomfortable and in danger. Here, he is at a job interview that Professor Lambeau forces Will to attend. Now, of course, this is not what Will wants to do, so he's not very happy, not comfortable. He feels it's not according to Will's will, so he feels very bitter and kind of cold. Now, hopefully, these were sufficient examples of the kind of dichotomy that warm and cool colors create in this film, and how they set the tone of the scene without even needing to say a single word or having to see a single action. Now, the next thing I'd like to talk about is acting, focusing on one minor character of the film, who I think is one of the film's stars and is integral to the film's kind of main message. You see here Chucky Sullivan, played by Ben Affleck. He's arguably the delinquent that Will has the closest relationship with. And the scene shown here is by far one of my most favorite scenes in this movie, or in any movie, actually. It kind of speaks to me on a personal level. But back to Ben Affleck. For lack of a better word, Affleck isn't in this movie. He's a bro. We can see through his playful mannerisms and his kind of tough-loving, casual demeanor towards Will that the two are very close, obviously. But only because we can so easily see the bond between the two is Chucky's kind of plight more impactful. You see, in this scene, you might have seen it parodied in other shows and films, like the best TV show of all time, Community. Chucky tells Will that the best part of his day is when he hopes that Will, without a word, leaves him behind for a better life. Chucky knows just how smart Will is, and his willingness to let his close friend go and leave him so easily is a testament to his desire and his hopes and dreams for Will to have a good future, and to not let his past or his current situation prevent him from, kind of transcending the poverty that he grew up in. Now I'd like to talk about some of the themes that I came up with for the film. Firstly, you do not only have a responsibility to achieve the best for yourself, but also for those who raised you. Now, what does this mean? Now, you can see in Chucky's character, as we discussed right before this, if Will does not take advantage of his intelligence, of his natural gift, Chucky would just feel kind of unfulfilled, and he'll feel even worse about the situation that he's in. He would feel that all the effort he put into raising Will and seeing him grow and mature and be safe would be pretty much put to waste if the tree that he grew and nurtured from like a very little sapling stayed and died in Boston, where it could have accomplished so much more elsewhere. And that's the first theme that I came up with. And secondly, here's the one that I came up with: all the knowledge in the world cannot help you truly understand another person. And this, I think, is Will's main conflict over the course of the film, and it's best shown in the scene at the park, as you can see here. Now, in this scene, Sean sits Will down and describes his wife, Sean's wife, his wife and their struggles with her cancer, and Sean teaches Will, by example, by recounting his romance with his wife, what true love is. And Sean says that Will doesn't know about real loss because real loss is only possible when you love something more than you love yourself, which is something that we don't see Will do out of fear for failure and out of fear generally for the future and the consequences of delinquency that he does not believe he can kick. There's so much more to Sean's character than Will initially sees. And this feeling is reciprocated because Sean tells Will straight up, I can't learn anything from you that I can't read from some effing book unless you want to talk about you, who you are. Then I'm fascinated. See, the only way to truly understand someone, to create a bond and a relationship that enriches both parties, is to genuinely open up to them, like listen to what they have to say, instead of using any preconceived notions, biases that any previous knowledge may impart. Okay, now how about we take a step back and we'll talk the film's director, Gus Van Sant. He was born in 1952 in Louisville, Kentucky. He was the son of a traveling salesman. His family moved around the country fairly frequently. On his own, he studied filmmaking in college, which is, very faithful to his childhood love of filmmaking. Van Sant spent time in Europe and then in Los Angeles, where he found this very interesting, the juxtaposition of the very poor people living in very close proximity to the very rich people in Hollywood, and then the poor people in on the streets of Los Angeles. And he has been making films ever since, from small independent films like his first critical success, Mala Noche, to big budget films such as Good Will Hunting, for which he is most famous. And now, to conclude this presentation, I'd like to give my own little review of the film Good Will Hunting. Now, as I said before, the film's buzz is very well deserved. The filmmakers do a perfect job, I think, of creating a character who we root for and with whom we empathize with from the very beginning. Now, it may seem that Will Hunting has very little in common with the average viewer, but personally, I connected with him on a very personal level. I mean, I haven't been in a fight like that. I mean, I don't know if you have, but I, along with most people, I'm sure, share with him some of the common struggles of growing up. He tries to find love, and he tries to please everyone around him, despite very little faith in himself. And he feels pressured to succeed, and, I know the Oxford crowd gets this from their Asian parents, And it is in this empathy that makes the very kind of transcendentalist messages of the film very apparent and impactful. So, from me, this movie gets 5 stars out of 5. Alright, thank you very much for listening. Please enjoy your winter holidays. Have a very safe break. Merry Christmas to you and your families. Signing off, this is Alec Santos. Until next time.